Barry Melbourne, London News. It's Tuesday evening here in Melbourne, and it's a quarter past 12 in the UK. And I'd like to welcome Karen, which started up the Freedom Hub. Aaron, can you tell us a little bit more about it? I came across it and I thought, what an interesting lot of people. I thought I'd have a chat with you.
Oh, lovely. How did you come across this, by the way, being the other side of the world?
Oh my God, I think I was, I don't know now, you caught me, you put me on the hop. I think I was,
Okay,
no, it did
caught you
come up,
out.
it came up on something, maybe Facebook or MeWow or
Okay,
something. And I
okay.
thought, wow, it's great to see somebody doing what you're doing. So
Yeah,
tell us all
yeah.
about it.
So it came about last year, basically, when Simon Dolan, he's heading up the Keep Britain Free movement, and which I was supporting at that time. So it was, Keep Britain Free, that's what we wanted to do. He set up a website, he set up crowdfunding, because he was going to take the government to court. So, I put some money in his little pot, as many others did. And then looking at his website, I realized there was a need for people to connect locally. And I asked his team to create that facility. And then the next time I went on board, it had been created, and somebody had set up a local group where I'm at in Sussex. So I joined the local group. In fact, they were up and running. There was 4 or 5 of them. I think they had their first Zoom meeting. And then I joined, and there was about 13 of us in the pub in Brighton. And the pub wasn't really conducive to the sort of meetings that we were having. It was a bit noisy, and we were just having the back room. So I said, look, if you move it to my town, I've got a friend who's got a cafe, and he'll let us use that space. So that's what we were doing. And then the numbers started to increase, and we were getting up to like 60 people at a time. Then as it evolved, I realized it wasn't just about Keep Britain Free. And then I had my own views about Keep Britain Free, because although Simon Dolan, he's allegedly creating this movement for us to get our freedoms back, he lives in Monaco, which I thought that's a bit odd. And he's got his own business. He's very wealthy. He's a millionaire, his own airline business. But he did crowdfunding, and he raised a lot of money. And also I believe that he is asking his people on the planes to wear the masks and stuff, women, children, and adults, all of them. And I thought, that's a bit odd. It just seemed odd. So my allegiance to him didn't, sort of finish. And I thought also, with the people that were coming to the meetings, they weren't all about just Keep Britain Free. It was people talking about 5G and lots of different groups, lots of various people with different issues, but it all was about our freedom and our sovereignty. So then I thought we needed to make this bigger. And because we were getting too many people coming to the groups, I said, what we need to do is just have people in their own towns. So start your own meeting in your own towns, and then have one representative come to the bigger meeting. Then we'll chit chat, get the information, then take that and have your own local meeting. And we had one young man that had come from day one, Zach. He was coming down from Surrey, which is, a good 30, 40 miles away. Very young man. And my heart really went out to him, because you could see he was like born in the wrong time. He wanted to go, I got the impression, to be back in the 50s, and he didn't have a phone. You could see he was really fighting for his freedom. And I could see what was coming. He didn't want to live in the Hunger Games. And people like that really inspired me. And we said, he needed to create his own hub. And one time he didn't turn up, or he said he's not turning up the next week. We got a message because he had 30 people that were coming to his group. And this is how it evolved. So then I just set up a website, and put an advert in the Light newspaper, a couple of adverts, 2 months running. And then the people started to come. And then through word of mouth, and I think social media, and now even, when they stand up in the park, people know about us. And what they do, they will just contact me through the website and say, can we set up a hub in whatever town it is? So then I set them up on the map. I send them some basic information, and then off they go. I send out a regular newsletter, to let them know what the hubs are doing sort of globally. So the information I get, I try and add links which they can't find on Facebook. So I don't want to spam them, because there's so much information. And also the main thing about the Freedom Network is it's not centralized. I've learned this lesson. A couple of people have tried to kind of, I say, infiltrate or amalgamate us into their groups, into assemblies, for instance. And at first I thought, that sounds like a good idea. But then when you look into it, and I was talking to several people who know more about this, they've introduced the word communitarianism, which was a new word to me. I couldn't even say it. It's just a longer word of communism with a few letters, thrown in the middle. And what it's all about, and when you know this, you can see it coming, you can spot it a mile off. So where we are at a grassroots level with the Freedom Network, we are creating, or we are facilitating people to create their own autonomous groups. So they're not joining up to an organization that has got governance or centralization or anything like that. We're saying this is just a facility for people to find you, and then off you go, and then you do whatever you need to do. Now, through, and as I was saying, people trying to amalgamate us. And you can see that coming because a couple of groups have contacted us. And what you can see, and you can see it in other groups, is it's coming from the top down. So like so many Telegram groups, too many, it confuses me, but somebody might add me to it. And I think, oh, what have I joined now? And there was one called Keep It in the Community. And I thought, this is great. This is for awakened businesses to join. But it started from the top down because somebody has set up across the whole of the UK a contact and Keep It in a Community, the same as the assemblies. And I'm thinking, well, who's done that? How have they managed to do that? How have they had the funding and the infrastructure of the organization to do it overnight like that? Whereas, because I know setting up these hubs, we've been doing it 6-7 months now, we've got over 300, but it does take time because it's through word of mouth and it's people at grassroots, building up, and which is really important. That's where we need to be.
Well, you certainly got my attention when I found it, and I thought it was a great idea. And people, Freedom Hub, well, people are trying to get back to God-given rights, and that's a word that doesn't go down too well. But there's no governments anymore. We've got private corporations, some bigger and all owned and controlled by the USA. And again, we've got to be careful. We say, well, our corporation decided that 26 people out of 5.6 million people had the flu or something similar, and they decided to shut us down for a week because they can't do anything long. I think it's a week or something like that because the Emergency Act, which is an act, and an act is something that takes place on a stage, and we have solicitors who act for you, they don't work for you, and Hollywood is full of actors. So we've got a situation where it's comical, but the side effects are absolutely devastating. The suicides are absolutely enormous, and the amount of people who've given up business is enormous. And it's great to see an organization as yourself in the UK, and I hope people will pick up here now and even join you, because we need to get on the same page, because we're all heading in the same direction.
Absolutely. Well, as I said, we've got over 300 now. 40 are overseas. So we've got a couple of hubs in Australia. I don't obviously know exactly what everybody's doing, but I invite people to communicate with me, and I can share the stuff. So I have heard, for instance, somebody that's joining us from Hong Kong just this week. Somebody's contacted me, but he's not setting up a hub in Hong Kong. He's trying to get out because he says as of the 1st of July, it's no vax, no fly. And so he's getting out beforehand. But I really have respect for this chap. He's a barrister, a legal barrister, as in not a coffee shop barrister. And he's also a scientist. And he's fighting to get on a plane without having shoved anything up his nose, because he said, why should I? And where does that money go to? And it's just a whole racket. So I really admire, and I hope he gets on the plane without doing it. But he's also aware, he told me that in Hong Kong, so you have these big blocks of flats, maybe 400 blocks of flats, or 400 flats in one block. And if one person has done a test and it's positive, just one person, then they come out at night. I do laugh because it's so scary. It's just like a horror film that we're living. But they come out at night in these ambushed buses, and they take all the residents of the 400 flats, and they take them to a quarantine camp, and they make them stay there for 21 days. And I'm thinking, this is absurd. This is absurd. I know Hong Kong's a little bit close to China, but they're coming. These big claws are trying to get all of us because it's a global takeover. So it's really nice when I'm hearing people, from other parts of the world that are aware of the network, because as I say, it's just a means of communicating, people finding each other. And when they contact me directly, I'll send them out just a basic instruction how to set up a meeting. Some people obviously are very, au fait in setting up meetings. Some people have never done it before.
Karen, what was the benefit? What was the idea behind setting up this hub?
Well, I think the main thing is to connect people, or for people to find each other. And some people that have come on board, they've walked into the cafe, and where we've been in like proper lockdown, and they've followed the lockdown rules, knowing that something is amiss. And they found us, and I said, well, come to one of our meetings. And they've gone in and they've basically been in tears. And I said, oh, it's time for a group hug. And people come and hug him because we're not allowed to hug. And he said, I can't believe it. It's life pre-COVID. He said, I can go up and get a beer. And this has been going on. I said, yeah, this is going on and this is going to continue to go on. I said, because there's a lot of us that are wide awake and we're just going to carry living on our lives as normal and better. So that's one aspect, which is great, just to bring people together. But that's also happening, like stand up in the park or what's the meet up in the park and picnic in the park. And there's all these other groups which are great because at least they're coming out of the woodwork now and they're becoming aware that there are a lot of open-minded or wide awake people, which is fantastic. But we're trying to take it the next step because I always look ahead and I always think big, and I'm pretty ambitious. If I have something in my mind, I have to go and do it, and I do it full on. And I'm thinking, well, getting these hubs and getting these groups together is wonderful. And it's happened organically. I've never had like an ulterior motive. I've never had any plans. I thought just get people together and the right people will come and things will evolve. I trust in the universe, in that, the cosmos, the right things. I'm just facilitating this opportunity for the right people to find each other. And but what we're doing now in our group, so we meet, there's I think 13 or 14 different groups in our county, Sussex. So we meet every fortnight, one person or two people from that group come, and then we sit around the table and we have a chat and we say, what's going on in your hub? What can we do? How can we help? And what should we all do taking it further? And that's where some action is taking place. So on the back of that, we have now got something called they've just changed the name. It's called the Conscious Youth. I set it up as Young People Support Group. I said, well, let's just set it up so that we know what we're dealing with here. And then we have, so on the basis of just setting it up on a Telegram group, we now had in the first week 18 elders, I'm calling them, have come to us, whether they're mentors or therapists or counselors, and they want to help the young people. So they've all come running, and then we said, oh, we need the young people. And the first meeting we had 11 youngsters turned up from the age of 12 to 22. So we're trying to create a safe space for these young people, because these young people know something's not right, but they've got nowhere to turn. Their friends might all be following the agenda. They have to go to school and they have to do this stuff. And as of today, I think it's today, they're being forced to have vaccines, these youngsters in Manchester, which is, is illegal. Talk about common law, it's illegal without parents' consent. I've heard some horrible stories. So yeah, for these young people that know something isn't right, we need to support them. These are the future out of the Hunger Games. These are the people. So we set this thing up. They've called it the Conscious Youth, and we're going to meet every week or whenever they want to. We say, you decide what you want. We will support you. And it's interesting what they want. They obviously want to have fun. It's hard being a teenager anyway, but to be a teenager in this society is mind blowing when they know something's amiss. But they said, well, we really want to know the truth. We want to know what's going on, what's behind this. We want to know about sacred geometry, symbolism. We want to learn to meditate. And we thought, wow, this is amazing. From 12-year-olds up to 22. And the 22-year-olds say, well, I've done a bit of that. I can help you. And then we can bring the skilled mentors in. So we've got big plans for these youngsters. We can take them, we can do whatever they want, bushcraft, camping, we said knitting, rounders, whatever it is that we want to support them. And anything that we do in our Sussex group, I said, let's try and get this out to each hub across the UK and beyond. So we have the ideas, the people come, and then off we go. So that's something that's really, and also we're all Freedom Conference that was organised by a colleague of mine in Manchester. That was very successful, and we're going to try and run these out across the UK again. So we've got the next one in Sussex on the 5th of June, a couple of weeks' time. We've got about 200 or 300 people coming, and we've got all the speakers.
That is fantastic that you're doing that, and it's amazing. England have done, well, the UK have done one good thing. Well, some of the UK, apart from Northern Ireland, have got out of the EU, and of course Ireland are up in arms over all this lockdown as well. And there's quite a number of people. The majority of Walking Dead, of course, don't want to know, but at least you're doing something, and a lot of groups here in Australia are doing something. But eventually, united we stand, divided we fall. We all need to get together and sing the same hymn and get something done. I think we've got that message across to people now, Karen, and it's been fantastic talking to you. And we'll get together and perhaps maybe on a Zoom thing with some people, and we'll have a bit of a chat there. And I'd like to thank you very much for coming all the way from the UK by air and without a mask. And it's been fantastic talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on. It's lovely. And can I just say, for people that want to find us, we are the Freedom Network. So it's www.thefreedomnetwork.co.uk. Just go onto that website and it will lead you to a form that will lead you to me.
I'll put that up in writing at the end of the video.
Great. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Lovely to talk
Bye
to
for
you.
now. Hi, let's have a look at this new ID card. That's a photograph, just an old photograph. Just need head and shoulders. The name goes in down the bottom here in the correct manner. Again, over here. And the surname, which is the one they use to control you. It's a person. If you believe you're a person, well, the law applies to you. That's the fictional law that is. And of course, the address and this barcode, because all these IDs have an individual barcode and it's posted out to you by registered post, and that barcode stays with you ever. That comes from Bill Turner's principles, and it really, really works. And on the back of this card, we'll have a look. We stand under common law, and with the claim of the knowledge is with the fact of truth. You see, the truth. You just read through that there yourselves nice and slowly. You'll see the principles of common law are humanity, caution, and prudence. And down the bottom here, if you look, to act with kindness, humanity, take care not to harm others, prudence, use common sense, good judgment, and be mindful of your actions. So it does explain what those meanings up there. And then it says no contract with fictional laws, no contract with corporations or fictional courts. As a living man and woman, I stand under God's law. It's a fact. The knowledge is the claim. It's all on there. And that's all you need to produce to say at now time, I am not a person. I am a living man or I am a living woman.